Hi, I'm Kelly at Book and Paper Arts, and today I have a short video about using needles and thread in your handmade book binding. It's actually the first in an occasional series I'm going to be doing here from time to time on bookbinding basics. And that is because I show how to make handmade books on this channel a lot. About how to sew handmade journals, sketchbooks, blank books, what you will. And I do it so often, pretty much every 6 weeks. I do it so often that now when it comes to the very, very basics, I tend to fast march through them so that those of you who watch regularly don't say, oh my goodness, is she going to stop what she's doing and talk about that again? I'm going to go get some coffee. Yeah. So I thought that if I stopped and just devoted short videos to some of these basics, that when I do the regular how to make a book video, I can just link to the basics. And if you need it, it's there. And if you already know how to do it, it's not there. So please stay tuned and join me. I'm going to talk about everything you need to know about needle and thread 101. If you like journal arts, if you like book and paper arts, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and be sure and turn on the notifications, and you will have more of them in your life. Let's go look at some basics. Let's start with needles, because it doesn't become more basic than that if you are sewing. The thing is, if you are familiar with making books, this may seem really obvious, but if you're brand new, I can assure you it's not. There's a lot of choices out there. So let's break it down. As a rule, if you are making handmade books, you're going to be using a thread that's more thick and more formidable than, say, a sewing thread. And we'll get to threads in a minute. My point is that you need a needle with something with a teeny tiny eye in it like this is not going to cut it. You're not going to get your thread through there. On the other hand, you don't want a needle that is too big. And that is a mistake that I made when I was first starting out. This is actually probably meant for leather work. And you can see here, these are some needles that I bought at the craft store. And like that makes it look like it would make your work so easy, but that's way, way, way too big. And that is because when you are sewing your threads through your holes in your books, if you've got a needle that is that big, it's going to make huge, huge holes that are going to make your paper and your covers tear. And also, if you need to knot your threads, your hole is going to be so big that the knot will go right through them, and it will end in tears. So don't go too big. I know this is really hard to see, but this is the size that I use. I don't know the number. I only know that I've been doing this for a long time, and this may actually be a teeny tiny bit on the big side. But because I do this so often, I know what I'm comfortable with, what I can control and make work. So get something that's kind of medium-sized, not too big, and play around with it till you find one that you're really comfortable with. The great thing about needles is that they're super easy to source. Just go to a fabric store or the sewing section of a big box store, and you're going to have tons of options, really budget-friendly. Have a look at these curved needles. There's one there, there's a smaller one here. These are completely optional, but if you do find a set that has them and you like making your own books, these will come in handy when you are binding something with a really tight stitch, such as a kettle stitch, a chain stitch, or if you're making a Coptic book. You can wiggle your needle up into this, but it's going to be super tight. And if you have a curved needle, it will feed much more gracefully through there. So it's an option, but if you have one, you might use it. Finally, I keep these old corks to store my needles. That way they're safe. More importantly, I know where the heck they are at all times on my desk. On to thread. Ideally, you want to use, as I said, a pretty thick cotton or linen thread. This is a cotton thread that I got at a flea market. I mean, it's a huge pile of it, and it costs like 50 pence, and I love the color, and it's the perfect weight. I also got this linen thread at a flea market. It wasn't cheap, but it will be here long after I am gone because there's so much of it. And again, that neutral parchment color, I use a lot. But if you don't have, so my point is, keep your eye open at, say, yard sales, flea markets, estate sales. It's not unusual to find box lots of sewing notions. And that's where I have found my best treasures. If you do not have an obliging flea market in the meantime, you can use plain old sewing thread and just double it or triple it up. It's going to be fine. You could also use embroidery floss. I don't think this is all cotton. I think it's a cotton poly blend. But if that's what you got, you can use it. It's nice and thick. It's easy to source, super easy to find. It comes in pretty colors, and it's easy on the budget. So embroidery floss is a good option. I also recommend that if you are in an absolute pinch, think about dental floss. Because what is dental floss except a waxed cotton thread? And that will get you up and running. Just go to the medicine cabinet, you're good to go. Speaking of wax, before we speak of wax, I forgot to say that you can find linen and cotton thread in the craft store or online on eBay or in a fabric store. It's not hard to find. Speaking of wax, this is kind of an optional stage, but if you find that you like making handmade books, it's going to come in really, you're going to want to do this. And that is to wax your thread. Okay, normally you're going to want your thread to be like the length of your spine to times your signatures. So let's pretend it's 3. Okay, so I've got enough thread here for 3 signatures. And before I start sewing, it's going to really help if I wax my thread. That is because by coating it in wax, it's going to be stronger and it's also going to be much easier to control, which is what you want when you're trying to get nice, tight stitches. Now, I'm using some fancy beeswax. You don't have to have fancy beeswax. When I first started out, I used a candle stub, and it worked just fine. However, one day I was at the farmer's market and some guy had these beautiful beeswax thingies for like £1. So I got a few. If you are vegan, you can use a plant-based candle. And all you want to do, you can see I've done this a million times, is pull your thread between your thumb and the wax 4 or 5 times, kind of turning your thread around. And you want to do the whole thing. So now When you've done this, you can see that it's less curly, less floppy. It's lying a lot more flat, and it's a little bit more stiff, but very pliable. And it's going to give you much more control when you're sewing your book. As I said, it's optional. Don't not start because you don't have it. But again, if you find that you like making books, you might want to lay in a hunk of wax. There you go. As I said, this is going to be a recurring series. So if you have any topics that you would like to see a short, basic video about, especially about bookbinding or handmade bookmaking, please put it in the comments below, and I'll be sure and get on that. Also, if you have any tips and hacks of your own about handmade bookmaking with the needles and threads and whatnot, please put those in the comments, and we can all read them, compare notes, and be the better for it. If you like this channel and you'd like to support it, you can go to my Ko-fi page. There's a link to it in the text box below this video. And you can follow that and make a one-off donation or become a member, monthly member. Until later, happy making.